still joined by the great Prue McSween and Graham Lloyd. Now, this is hilarious because last week the US, well, you'd think that they'd actually sent a clear signal that they don't want Kamala Harris to be president, and yet some Dems are just not taking no for an answer.
One promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her from being able to from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public want to see is the time. This is the moment for us to change the entire perspective of how Democrats operate.
Yes, let's punt Joe Biden, put Kamala in for a couple of days. Never mind that the overwhelming majority of Americans actually said, no, we don't want you. But please, Graham, why are they just not taking no for an answer here? They're in such denial.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? What's needed is humility. And looking how chuffed Joe Biden looks following the result, I don't think he's going to be giving up for anybody. Seriously, it would devalue the event of the US getting the first female president if they were to sneak it in this fashion. The reality is they're all yesterday's people. The caravan has moved on. Nothing will happen between now and when Trump is inaugurated, and that's when it begins.
Yeah, Graham, I forgot about that because Biden came out the other day, beaming, the biggest smile we've ever seen. He had a big spring in his step, didn't he? He's gone from potato to spring in his step, and it's, he's not going to leave, is he?
No, I would be very surprised. I mean, what I'm amazed about is I think that was the chief of staff, Kamala.
Yeah, it was.
And why hasn't he been sacked for a start? I mean, you can see how delusional he is if he thinks that's good. But it's all about symbolism. They want to make her the first female president, even if it is just a total sham. And they have no idea. And they probably now will be in denial. They'll never, ever understand why she lost. No. They're just so tin-eared about it all. And arrogant. So, I mean, I can't see it happening, but I'm sure Trump will have a way of sticking it up them and making sure it doesn't work.
Well, if it's not about sexism, misogyny, racism to blame for the vote, we'll give her a chance. We'll still give her a chance. That's basically what they're doing here. It's just pathetic. Now, Graham, a really great article in The Australian from your colleague Chris Mitchell today. He writes that the American media became activists against Trump and that left them unable to read the situation well. But this part in particular was great. It said the left liberal US media got Trump and the electorate wrong for 9 years, but last week showed little sign of understanding why. This column was reminded of the sullen faces of the ABC on election night in 2019 when Liberal leader Scott Morrison beat Labor's Bill Shorten. Graham, what is it about, particularly the lefty media? Why do they always misread the play?
Well, it's the echo chamber effect. So if you never speak to anybody who doesn't share your view, you are absolutely astonished when you're presented with the fact that most people actually don't agree with you. I think the first Trump presidency showed how disconnected the media was from what was really happening out in mainstream America. They didn't learn that lesson. They didn't reconnect with America. They just set about demonising Donald Trump. And I think they've been fed another dose of humble pie. Whether they will bring themselves to acknowledge it this time, only time will tell.
Well, they never self-reflect. They probably will never acknowledge it, Prue, because that's the way that the left-wing media operate. And the fact that they were taken so by surprise. I mean, I've seen the scare campaigns already running. Even here in Australia, they're running these headlines of, Trump dangerous for Australia. Come on.
I mean, they are so superior. They think they are so much more informed than the rest of us. It's interesting how the media landscape has changed so much because so many of these journalists have lost their objectivity and what we're supposed to do, which is report the facts and not buy into the conversation unless you're a commentator. And I think it's the public's onto it. Yeah. We're now really sourcing different channels and sources for our news, and that's really good.
Yeah.
So Hopefully, that's what we should be, celebrating. But we've got to be, it's buyer beware, isn't it, at this stage?
It really is buyer beware. We've got to be careful. Prue McSween, Graham Lloyd, really good to have you both on. Thank you so much for joining me this evening.